So, Nandita ma'am, there are so much viruses that can affect our systems. For the reason, we only need to be aware of viruses?
Well, Rajesh, there are more. You also need to be aware of worms.
Worms? What are these in the computer, ma'am?
Worms are also programs created by intruders to invade a personal system. Worms are malicious codes and move to other systems by duplicating themselves and not attaching to other files. Worms cause damage similar to viruses. These are programs which are created to make holes in security software, and after that, they try to steal sensitive information, corrupting files, and installing a backdoor for remote access to the system, among other issues. This kind of malware is another type of programs which are capable of operating independently within a system.
So, worms are another type of entity in the network that can enter our systems, ma'am?
Definitely, Rajesh. However, worms are a bit different from viruses. We can call them another type of malware, which is able to operate independently. In other words, is standalone and is executable, which circulates through network shares and several gaps and vulnerabilities. Nevertheless, a worm is similar to a virus by design, but it somewhat differs from virus. Unlike viruses, the worm does not depend upon attaching itself to a program or a file. As soon as it inhabits a system, it becomes active. The necessity of human intervention to propagate or spread it is not needed. It is able to travel without taking help due to its capability of taking advantage of the information transport feature. Worms often rely on the actions of and vulnerabilities in networking protocols to propagate. Take, for instance, the WannaCry ransomware worm. They had exploited a vulnerability which was not patched up in the Windows operating system. Worms may be defined as a malware that exploit the vulnerabilities of a computer operating system or the OS to self-propagate. Worms often use parts of an operating system that are automatic and invisible to the user. It uses the gaps or weakness in the internal network to which your computer is linked to move to another computer system. A computer worm loads and begins its activities on a newly infected system. The first role of the worm is to spread automatically to as many other systems as possible. It does so by replicating and sending itself to everyone in the list in every address book of all the receivers. It thereafter continues down the line. The second role is to carry out the task it was designed for, which it is loaded with a program called payload on its back. In the case of Morris worm, it was a payload to find out the size of internet then, but now the same can be used for many other purposes, even for dangerous actions. Recently, Blaster worm had become notorious as it had been designed to get into the computer and allow all sorts of malicious users to control the system remotely. Today, not all the worms use vulnerabilities to spread. Instead, many other methods are used to propagate, such as use of email, peer-to-peer or shortly called P2P networks, social networks and mobiles. Worms can spread between mobile devices by sending copies of themselves attached to short message service SMS messages, or by including links to web pages that host a copy of the worm.
So, there are numerous forms of worms that we need to be alert of, Nandita ma'am.
Yes, Rajesh. Worms are of numerous nature. Let's proceed to know more about worms. Just like viruses, worms are also classified differently.
Oh, so there are varieties of worms that may infect our system, Nandita ma'am.
Definitely, Rajesh. Let me tell you about some of the types of worms. Based on the method of propagation technique, the worms can be classified like this. The first is the email worm. These types of worms are created by intruders to invade systems in the form of emails. They will offer lucrative commodities to unsuspectful users who will just open these mails to check what is in it for them. After that, these worms will reside in their system and deactivate programs or steal data. Email worms usually spread as malicious executable files attached to ordinary-looking emails. The email worm then forces the infected system to resend the worm to email addresses in users' contact lists. The worm infects new systems when email recipients open the file. Once active on the system, the result was the malware managed to resend itself to all of the contacts in Microsoft Outlook. It might said that the worm required user interaction, but the overall effect was that the worm spread during normal operation of desktop computers and without the victim's awareness. The malware reportedly affected millions of users in 2000, spreading so quickly that big enterprises like Ford Motor Company had to shut down their email services. Successful email worms usually incorporate attractive methods to tempt users to open the attached file. Most probably, you may have heard that in the recent past of a program worm called I Love You. This was one of the most damaging example of this type of computer worms ever was. This malware was propagated through several carriers, including email attachments that appeared to be text files. This worm was sent with an attractive name, I Love You, which tempted a recipient into downloading the attachment and opening it. Another worm that created a huge destruction in various sites is the Sasser worm. The Sasser worm was written by a German computer science. The worm was first noticed when it exploited a buffer overrun in a process called Local Security Authority Subsystem Service, or shortly called LSASS, which enforces security policies on the system. This worm has the ability to spread to many computers rapidly. Sasser worm uses the TCP port number 445 to attack a computer. It penetrates through some Microsoft software to reside in a system and then disrupt the system. Within a short time, the variants Sasser A, Sasser B, and Sasser C were found to be affecting hundreds of computers around the world. The W32 Sasser family of worms can also run on computers running Windows 95, 98 and ME OSs. On some systems, the worm may cause crash resulting in a system reboot. Well, Rajesh, there are also internet worms that you may need to tackle.
Internet worms? What are these, Nandita ma'am?
When it comes to worms that are created in the internet, they are programs which are completely autonomous. These worms are very infectious and mostly use an infected machine to scan the internet for other susceptible machines. And after locating and infecting them, the worm will begin the process again.
Nandita ma'am, how can we tackle these kind of threats?
There are some ways experts have devised to confront worms created in the internet. To avoid internet worms, the first thing you should do is to install the latest operating system. After that, you should check the security updates in your system. This is very important as the internet worms are at times created to exploit recently discovered security issues on not yet updated machines. After the internet worms, there are also worms called file-sharing internet worms.
What are these file-sharing network worms, ma'am?
Often we share files through the internet. While sharing the file on the internet, you are really not sure what exactly you are downloading. File-sharing worms takes advantage of it. The worm quietly copies itself into a shared folder with an unsuspecting name. Someone else downloading files from the shared folder will unwittingly download the worm, which then copies itself and repeats the process. A worm called Fatbot was one such worm that infected millions of computers in 2004 in this manner. It had the ability to steal personal information, including credit card details, and send emails on a very large scale. One of the most complex worms is Stuxnet. This worm penetrated a nuclear faculty in Iran and tried to disable the faculty by slowing down the centrifuge that caused overheating. To exactly define Stuxnet, it actually stays in sleep mode in normal computer system and had a self-destruct mechanism. It all happened in July 2010. Stuxnet was the first computer worm used as a cyber weapon. It was only being discovered at the nick of time by two security researchers after a long string of cross-checking. This attracted the interest of high-profile security specialists around the world, including Liam O'Murchu and Eric Sheehan of the Security Technology and Response shortly called STAR team at Symantec. Their extensive research led them to conclude that the worm was being used to attack an Iranian power plant. with the ultimate goal of sabotaging nuclear weapon production. Although the attack ultimately failed, this computer worm is still active on the threat landscape today.
Wow, these worms could do so much things. Who exactly designed them, Nandita ma'am?
Various agencies, Rajesh, some for personal profit and some for a social organization. They are created to intrude into personal or social systems to create havoc. There are also some other worms created by intruders to infiltrate systems. They operate through instant messages and chat rooms.
Really? So we need to be very alert when we use a chat room or send or receive an instant message from someone?
Definitely, Rajesh. Let me tell you more about these kinds of worms. Instant message and chat room worms use the contact lists available in a user's chat room profile or instant message program to send links to the websites that are infected. These worms function very similarly to email worms. However, they have a weakness. They cannot function in a similar fashion as email worms. They may try to penetrate a system, but fail when the internet is closed down. As because of the requirement of the internet, the recipient of such messages must send certain personal information. When this is not provided, this kind of worms fail to penetrate the system. It happens due the requirement of the acceptance of the message by the recipient by clicking on the link. These kind of worms tend to affect only the users who are unsuspectful to the links in the internet and click on them to gain some information. After that, these worms penetrate their systems and disrupt files or specific programs in their systems. Another fear is the use of USB drives, better known as pen drives. These instruments often contain viruses or worms, which can be dangerous to one's system. You might not be aware that one of the most famous worms created in 2009, which was named Conficker. This worm spread through USB drives by going through the Windows Server service vulnerability.
Oh, how can we avoid them? We use USBs all the time.
To know the true nature of worms which may infiltrate your system, you need to know how to disable them. First of all, you disable auto-run functionality for USB devices. After that, you can apply patches in vulnerabilities in the network as soon as these are made available online usually.
So, Nandita ma'am, this is all about worms that we should be alert of?
Wait, there is more. Do you know anything about Trojan horse, Rajesh?
How do Trojan horse virus infect the system?
Trojan horses originated from the story from the Greek mythology. To tell you about Internet Trojan horses, you will need to know a brief account of the history of the Greek mythology.
Well, then let's learn some mythology then.
Well, this is the history of a very beautiful woman in Greece called Helen of Troy. She was possessed by many princes or kings. To shortly explain the story, the Greeks, when they tried to seize Troy, put soldiers inside a huge wooden horse in front of the ramparts. This horse is designed to gain entry into the fortress. The soldiers of Troy unknowingly dragged the wooden horse into the fortress. After that, the soldiers packed inside the horse, attacked the fortress, and defeated the kingdom. The same trick has been used to create this malware, which was aptly named as Trojan horse. The entry to your computer system comes with the malicious software and is referred to as Trojan horse, which at first glance appears to be useful software. But once it is installed or run on your computer, it causes big damage. Unsuspecting user is tricked into opening them because they believe that they are receiving authentic software or files from a legitimate source. Once the Trojan gets activated on your computer, it can cause a variety of disruptions, from annoying activities to cause serious damage by deleting files and destroying information on your system. Sometimes they are used to create a backdoor on your computer that allows access to your system to malicious users. Aim is to possibly compromise confidential or personal information. It may be remembered that unlike viruses and worms, Trojans do not reproduce by infecting other files, nor do they self-replicate.
How do Trojan horse virus infect the system?
By various ways. Let me tell you about some of the ways how Trojan virus works. A backdoor Trojan gives the hackers malicious access to take remote control over the infected computer. They entitle the malicious hacker to work on the infected computer as per the malicious intentions. They can send, receive, delete and launch files, display data, and reboot the computer. Backdoor Trojans are mostly used by hackers to exploit a group of infected computers to form a zombie network or malicious botnet that can be used for criminal purposes. Exploit is a type of Trojan that contains a malicious code or data to attack a vulnerable software or application that runs on an infected computer. Rootkits are developed by malware authors to gain access to the victim's system while they conceal their presence or their malicious activities from being detected, to extend their presence to run and execute on the infected computer. Trojan Banker is a type of Trojan which is developed to extract users' account data, debit or credit card data through online banking systems, e-payment gateway. Trojan DDoSer programs developed to perform denial of service and attacks so as to infect the victim's web address. The malware program sends multiple forms from the victim's infected computer and forms a network with several other infected computers to strongly enforce an attack against the target address, causing a denial of service. Trojan downloaders, as the name suggests, it is developed by hackers to download and install new versions of malicious programs onto the target victim's computer. Trojan dropper programs are developed by malware authors to install Trojans, viruses, and escape the detection of malicious programs. Most of the traditional antivirus programs are inefficient to scan all the components of this Trojan. Trojan fake AV programs pretend to operate like an antivirus software. They are developed by cyber thieves to obtain money from the target user. In return, in order to detect and remove threats, despite the threats that they report are non-existent in real time. The main target for Trojan game thief are online gamers, and their prime motive is to steal the user account information. Trojan IM programs primarily extract users' login and passwords of Skype, Facebook Messenger, ICQ, MSN Messenger, Yahoo Pager, AOL, and many more. Trojan ransom is developed to alter data on the victim's computer so that the system doesn't perform its function correctly, and also it does not let the user use certain data. The criminal would demand a ransom to be paid by the victim to unblock the restricted access to the data and restore the computer's performance. Trojan SMS programs send text messages from the victim's mobile device to other phone numbers. Trojan spy programs, as the name suggests, can spy on how the victim is using the computer. For example, tracking data, taking screenshots, or extracting a list of running applications. Trojan mail finder programs are developed by hackers to extract email addresses from the victim's computer.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I know how to be aware of the threats from worms in the system.
My pleasure, Rajesh. You can ask me anything about the security of the system. To go for a recap of what you have learnt so far, just click on any of the buttons on the screen. Worms are malicious codes and move to other systems by duplicating themselves and not attaching to other files. Recently, Blaster Worm had become notorious as it had been designed to get into the computer and allow all sorts of malicious users to control the system remotely. The Sasser worm was written by a German computer science. The worm was first noticed when it exploited a buffer overrun in a process called Local Security Authority Subsystem Service, or shortly called LSASS, which enforces security policies on the system. This worm has the ability to spread to many computers rapidly. Email worms are worms which are created by intruders to invade systems in the form of emails. They will offer lucrative commodities to unsuspectful users who will just open these mails to check what is in it for them. After that, these worms will reside in their system and deactivate programs or steal data. File-sharing worms takes advantage of it. The worm quietly copies itself into a shared folder with an unsuspecting name. Someone else downloading files from the shared folder will unwittingly download the worm, which then copies itself and repeats the process. Instant message and chat room worms function very similarly to email worms. However, they have a weakness. They cannot function in a similar fashion as email worms. They may try to penetrate a system but fail when the internet is closed down. Trojan horse are entries to your computer system which comes with a malicious software. At first glance, it appears to be useful software, but once it is installed or run on your computer, it causes big damage. Unsuspecting user is tricked into opening them because they believe that they are receiving authentic software or files from a legitimate source